This is Stars, Cars, Guitars with Tony Hadley, Jim Cregan, and Alex Dyke.
And we're back in the room. Welcome back to Stars, Cars, Guitars. If you missed it over the last couple of weeks because you're watching these in order, there was a gap. Or if you were listening to them as a podcast, there was a gap. It doesn't matter if you're watching this years in the future on YouTube. It wasn't my fault. Wasn't Jim Cregan's. Well, a lot of it was Jim Cregan's fault because he was on a boat on the Thames with Rod Stewart. But the man we have to blame is Tony Hadley, because he's become this media tart who's been on everybody's television show. Explain yourself.
Well, we just announced what was my 40th anniversary tour in 2020 got put off, obviously, because of obvious reasons, COVID and everything else. So it's now in March and May 2022, 36 dates around the UK, going to places I've not been to for a long time. And so I've been, excuse me, on a media kind of frenzy, talking to people. Well, a lot of people want to talk to me about, can't believe it's 40 years I've been in, over 40 years I've been in the business. So it's been really lovely, actually. So we've been on the One Show, Lorraine, and Sunday Brunch. So everything's been going kind of slightly crazy. Loads of regional radio. So it's, it's good. Thanks for having me.
It's good to be wanted, Tone, and I loved it. Every time I turned the TV on, you were on. Now, Jim, I know what you want to ask. I know what you want to ask, Tone. You want to ask him, Jim, don't you? How he got on in the green room with Noel Gallagher.
Yeah. How did you get on in the green room with Noel Gallagher? Did I say that right?
You said
you
it
did
just right.
You asked the question perfectly. No, great. I mean, I was explaining to Noel that we bumped into each other, him and his brother, at the Lead Mill in Sheffield. And we were talking about this. And I was looking after and producing a band called Big Wide World on the film soundtrack, When Saturday Comes. Great band. And they were playing the Lead Mill, I think it was that night. And so I happened to see Noel and Liam, and we also went, all right. And hello, guys, how are you? As we do. And then Liam was going, Mr. Spandau. It's like, and doing a sort of Mancunian sideways kind of, with his hands kind of thing. And but they were both really lovely. And that was many years ago. And then Noel said to me, he said, wow, he said, I've only been to the Lead Mill once. He said, I can't believe, we bumped into you sort of thing. So I don't know if you remembered, but I think he's very entertaining. And you need people that are sometimes quite vocal. And I quite enjoyed that bit with, is it Lewis Capaldi? When Lewis wore the T-shirt about meeting Noel Gallagher. I thought it was hilarious. I love the banter between them.
Good. Well, I'm glad that went all right. And Jim, I haven't sold any secrets by saying you were on a boat on the Thames with Rod Stewart. Is it okay to say that, or is this going to be one of the many, many bits about your life we have to edit out?
Yeah, you have to edit it out. Yeah, I'm afraid. Yeah. It's all right for Rod to be on the Thames, but not me. I mean, it breaches my my probation.
Your human rights.
I left the ankle bracelet on the dock, and so you're not to talk too much about it after this, please. You don't mind, because if you've got a wooden leg like I have, you can just unscrew it, and the ankle bracelet comes right off.
So tell us, why were you on the Thames with Rod on a boat?
Well, it was a bit of a silly evening out, I have to say. It's his 14th wedding anniversary, and as I was the best man at that wedding. And so I get invited to all the silly celebrations, as you do. And it was one of those kind of raffles, or what do you call it? An auction. He won this trip in an auction, and it was the most beautiful 1928 metal hull but wooden superstructure, old yacht, and it was so great. It was about 50 to 60 feet long, and but we were very foolishly started off drinking cocktails at some hotel called the Ritz in Piccadilly. We started there, drank there till we were sort of thrown out. Then we went down and got on this boat, went up and down the Thames in the rain, laughed, sang, ate great food, drank loads of wine, and that was. And I stumbled back. Oh yeah, I got a ride back to my hotel with the skipper of the boat, on a very fast rib with a 300 horsepower engine on it. So I was zooming down the Thames, slightly refreshed, more refreshed than I would normally like to be. And he dropped me at my hotel. And then the job was to find my way up from the dock to the street level and then try and find the hotel. But I did, and it only took me. I left on Wednesday, and I got to the hotel somewhere Friday morning, so that was quite good. Really.
Tony, all of this is really, really interesting, Tone. I don't know about you, but the most interesting thing is Rod Stewart bought raffle tickets. Rod Stewart entered a raffle.
No, it's not a raffle. I used the wrong word. It's the auction. Where people offer you, a month in my house, or then the second prize is 2 years. And this is an old crew. I mean, we all know each other really, really well. So there's lots of bad behaviour and laughing and carrying on. Yeah. So it was good, and I didn't fall overboard, and nobody died. Any evening we go out and nobody dies, I think, or goes to jail, that's a success.
That is a success. I can't believe he's been married to Penny for 14 years.
Oh, they've been together for about 8 years before that. They've been together for a really, really long time. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's weird because me and Al were talking, my wife and stuff. We've been married, I think it's 12 years now. Mm. Yes, 12 years coming up in July. But we've been together 18 years. I'm like, and I said to her the other day, I said, I just thought you were my girlfriend. It still feels like you're my girlfriend. Honestly, it doesn't feel, but it doesn't. I said, I still feel like I'm getting to know you. I know that sounds a bit weird, but it still feels new and fresh, which is kind of cool.
You've got all the lines, Tone. Tone, you've got all the lines. That must have hit the spot.
Good line. Yeah.
And I don't want to be doing the ironing or the hoovering anymore. All right.
Yeah.
Hang on. What was it? I've got to write it down. Was it, I still feel I'm getting to know you?
I still feel I'm getting to know you. There's a song there.
Well, I think probably that's because she hasn't spoken to him for 10 of those 12 years.
Yeah, he's been on the road, hasn't he?
No, that's absolutely lovely. Look, guys, this is the last episode of Series 2. I can't believe we've done 2 series of Stars, Cars, Guitars.
I don't know what I'm going to do. This is like therapy for me. This is one of my favourite parts of the week, talking to you. I don't really get to have anybody quite as daft as you bunch to hang with at any point in my life. I've got, great friends and family here, but none of them quite as silly as you, Alex Dyke, or you, Tony Hadley.
You're leading a quiet life, Jim.
No,
mind you.
No, I'm busy as you like.
Aren't we all we're all leading a quiet life at the moment. I need to get out more.
That trip out with Rod and Penny was the first time I've been out on a really serious jolly since the lockdown.
Hang on a minute. You had lunch with me and Rock and Roll Tom, our producer, the week before at a lovely, lovely place in Dorset. Does that not count?
Lunch doesn't count. Lunch doesn't count. You know that. What's wrong with you? You can't be seen falling about in the street at 3 p.m. when my daughter's coming out of school, can I?
Do you remember we were going to have, Tone was going to do this barbecue, and he said, oh, hang on, I've got a TV. I'm doing Lorraine. We said, Tone, go and do Lorraine. It's a huge show on ITV. We'll do the barbecue later. So we set the barbecue up again, and Tone's doing some Channel 4 Sunday brunch thing. So we let it go again. And then there was the one show before that, and you find out who your friends are when there's a TV commitment there, Jim Cregan.
Yeah, you do. And hopefully I'll have more TV commitments so I can avoid having to talk to you about any of it. Thanks very much. The
barbecue will happen. It will happen. I promise it'll happen.
We know
and
it
you'll
will.
see me.
We know. We trust you, Tom.
Wearing a pinny and nothing else. No. Oh dear, no. What did I say that for?
I don't know, but it made me laugh.
Stars, Cars, Guitars. Subscribe. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and starscarsguitars.co.uk.
Oh, I'm really excited about this. Look, this is a Stars, Cars, Guitars mug. Look at that, everybody.
Lovely. 2 mugs in the same picture.
That merchandise will be coming. It'll be available in the autumn. We've got lots of good Stars, Cars, Guitars merchandise. Now, in that little jingle break that you heard and saw if you're watching on YouTube, Jim paid me a very rare compliment. But of course, we weren't on air when he did it. So, Jim, would you mind doing it now and making it sound really natural?
You mean the bit about I'm going to ask you to choose the single from my new album? Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah, tell us why, Jim.
Well, because I think first of all, you're a broadcaster and you have an encyclopedic knowledge about music, far more than me. And I think you've got good ears. I can see by the way they're holding your glasses firmly to your head. But I'd like to, and of course, whatever it is you choose, that will be the very one we won't go with. So there's a backhanded compliment, really, actually, Alex, as you know. But yeah, I think it's great. Back in the day, we would use a guy, a DJ in America called J.J. Jackson, who was really famous in the end. He ended up on MTV. He was a VJ on MTV, and he was a big mate of ours. And we would give him the album and say, "Okay, choose the single," because you don't really want the A&R guys doing it.
No,
because most of them they. Well, I don't want to bash the A&R community because some of them are really good, but most of them are not. So you want a DJ, somebody who's really deeply in the music business, people are listening to.
Well, you sent me a demo for a brilliant song. It's Only What We Do, and I love it. I don't know who you got to sing it. I don't know who you got to sing it, but you should ask Tony Hadley to sing that one. It's very Tony Hadley. Have you finished your album, Tone?
No. I managed to get 2 vocals done before lockdown. And the one thing I didn't want to do, I know a lot of people have done virtual recording. You know, I've done a couple of charity singles this year where we did have to do virtual recording. But it's just not something I want to be in the studio with all the team and bouncing off each other. And, the whole virtual thing for me, I'm done. And I just want to get back to reality in the studio. And so two tracks sort of are vocalized. I need to do obviously a lot more. So that'll be a 10-track album. Album will be out next year. New single, let's say, end of the autumn, I reckon. But talking about singles, when True was released in 1983, I never thought it was a single because we'd never had a ballad before. We were more of a kind of electro pop band. And I don't know if any of us, we all thought it was a great song, but it was so out of our comfort zone that I don't think we thought it was a single. And it was Simon Bates on Radio 1 at the time who said, I've got the new Spandau Ballet album that's called True, and I'm going to play the title track. And he played the song and then played it again. He said, nice. I love that. If that's not a number one single, then that's a number one single. Now, when Simon Bates, who was one of the top DJs on Radio 1, says that's got to be a single release, and he was absolutely dead right, and it was number one for 4 weeks, top 5 in the States for 4 weeks, and number one in 21 countries. So you've got a good point, actually, Jim. I think sometimes someone from the outside to give you a bit of guidance is a really good thing.
Yeah, I think you're right, Tone, because when in 1970, when Diana Ross recorded I'm Still Waiting, this is one of Tony Blackburn's favourite stories, and quite rightly so, he kept playing it on the radio and he said, Motown, release this as a single. This should be a single. And they weren't going to, and it hadn't been released in America. They did, and it went to number one. And I think that DJs, if they're good DJs, they've got an ear for what sounds good on the radio because they're surrounded by it all the time. And they are far enough removed. You guys have recorded it, remixed it, revamped it, given it another go. It's among a dozen things you've recorded. Sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees.
No, I agree entirely. I find it really hard because I'm the guy with the best Pro Tools rig in our band, and I'm the guy probably with the most history of producing records and all the rest of it. So it falls to me to do that, and I'm quite happy to do it. But I really do love it when I get somebody to come round from the band and listen while I play the mixes, and suddenly, Tony, you may well have noticed this. As soon as you add another person to listen to something you've done, your viewpoint about that song changes subtly, or sometimes quite drastically. Have you noticed that? You suddenly notice, oh my God, the drums are too soft here, or hang on, I should have put. Why isn't there a harmony there? Or just that, and when you're listening to it yourself, it's one thing. When you listen to it with somebody else, it's a different. And I don't know why that is. It's so bizarre, and it's so helpful to have somebody come in and listen with you.
I think what it is, Jim, I think when you're in there producing, mixing and everything else, you're listening to it over and over and over again. And sometimes the music can be quite loud. And I think over a period of time, your ears just go shink. So I will, if anyone I know is mixing, I will always go in at the end with fresh ears and stuff. And then what happens is you pick up, because if you're mixing all the time, your top end goes down a bit and you get tired. And when you get tired, your top end goes down a bit. So when someone comes in with a fresh pair of ears, they'll say, hold it a minute, those cymbals are kind of the cymbals. I can't hear the hi-hat very well, stuff like that. And in fact, it just happened on a record that I'm sort of partly involved in. And I said, number one, it needs an edit. And number two, I can't hear the hi-hats and the cymbals. And we've put them up and it's sounding, sounding better, I think.
Sure.
So, I think it's a good point, yeah.
Okay, so what time are you coming over?
What time do you need my ears?
Well, if you could put them in the post.
I could just send them to you, special delivery. They work every time. It's cool. So I'm busy doing that. I just got a call from Mike Batt yesterday asking me to play on some sort of theme for a video game or something that he's doing. So I've started doing that. And what else is going on? Oh yeah, I'm doing a thing. I work for this charity in America, so I eventually got a vocal back for a song I wrote for those guys. They sent the vocal that arrived yesterday as well. So it was a busy day yesterday for getting more work. It does seem as if the phone is getting busier and busier all the time. I mean, we can't believe, the response to the announcement of this tour has been incredible. People from all over the country, oh, yeah, we'd like to talk to Tone and everything else. I haven't got a record out at the moment. I've just announced the tour, but everyone seems to want to have a chat, which is brilliant. So we're sort of moving in the right direction, I think.
Yeah.
Everything's starting to kind of gather momentum. So long may it continue.
I think probably they want to talk to you really essentially so that they can get to Alex. I mean, I think that is my viewpoint on this.
I think you're right, mate. Yeah, I think you're right.
I've got an idea.
Want to get to Alex. I just want to throttle him, but other people like him.
I like to get to you two, so I get a bloody word in edgeways sometimes, having stuff between hinge and bracket. Right, I've got an idea, Tone. Do I speak to you or Matt, the manager? I've had a brilliant idea.
Speak to me. Don't speak to him.
Right. You're always on about the fabulous TH band. Now, I've seen the guys, right? And they are brilliant, but I've never met them. How about if I talk Rock and Roll Tom into bringing his camera and we're come to rehearsals and we'll meet the guys and we'll talk to you about being on tour and we'll make a Stars, Cars, Guitars film because the series is ending, but we're going to pop up throughout the summer on YouTube. Would you let us come behind the curtain and watch you in rehearsals?
I think that's a great idea. You can ask them who's the loudest snorer on the tour bus. Yay! So, that would be brilliant. That'd be really good fun because people don't get to see that kind of nitty-gritty bit, the bit where you're stopping, starting and everything else. We will try and play one song all the way through, but, generally speaking, it can be a bit of a problem. But, no, that would be really cool. I look forward to that. It'd be great.
Yeah, we won't get in the way too much. Tone, if I get irritating, feel free to tell me.
Well, the drummer will just get a drumstick and just aim it at your head. And that normally does the trick.
So do you, when you've got, routined the songs and you know what you're going to play, you've got a running order.
Yeah.
Do you rehearse, do you play the show down top to bottom, like a proper dress rehearsal at all, or more than once, or not at all? What's that like?
Once we've worked out the show, so to speak, we will, on the last day of rehearsals, we'll run it down a couple of times as per we're going to play it. Just to get kind of, because sometimes moving one song into another can be a bit tricky, and especially if you've got edits and stuff like that. So, we will do. We'll make sure that we sort of run the whole show a couple of times on the last day. Definitely.
So the Rod Stewart Unplugged gig, right? We had 3 weeks of fairly intensive rehearsals with, and Ronnie Wood was guesting with us. And we had, a record producer in there, making sure he's going to get the sound right and everything. And we had 3 weeks, that would be 15 days. We never played the whole show from top to bottom the whole time.
Are you serious?
We never played it from top to bottom ever. No, we get through, we do sort of half it and we go, ooh, I'm a bit thirsty. Anybody thirsty? And that'll be it.
I've
really,
got to
really
say,
very shabby band, let's be fair. But it was very exciting. It was fairly scary, because you know how many people are going to be watching this, so you don't want to get it wrong.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, that was a big thing, the MTV Unplugged. But I tell you, just quickly, sometimes though, living on the, flying by the seat of your pants, having it a little bit edgy. I don't like over rehearsing. I mean, we'll only rehearse this time. We're doing 3 days, so and there's a lot of songs to get through and new songs as well. But sometimes it's kind of good to be kind of, I'm nearly there, but I'm not quite there.
Yeah, I love that.
That just sort of fires you up a bit more.
I think that's really exciting. And at a certain point in your career, you really can feel comfortable enough to do that. I think when you're starting out, that's too scary. But as you get older, I mean, I've been playing with the SAS band. I'd get invited to join them. I'd do a couple of tunes, and then I'd go off and they'd bring on somebody else. I mean, it's a kind of revolving door of that band. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Spike Edney and Jamie Moses. And then I'd be in the dressing room and they'd be an encore and they'd say, oh, come on, we're going to go and do this. And I'd say, well, I've never played it before. Don't worry, you'll be all right. And I was. When I don't know something, I just sort of turn down and then you take a solo and just get on with it. It's great. I love that risk. The risk factor. Rod Stewart said to me very interestingly a long time ago, rock and roll should always have an element of risk. And I've clung to that my whole career. I love that. I don't want to be so well rehearsed that it feels really comfortable. Being a tiny bit uncomfortable is a good feeling.
With Spandau, sometimes we would rehearse and rehearse and rehearse. I used to get so bored, because I'm like, I kind of know it,
I've got it now.
Talking about Spikey, I spoke to him just the other day, and a lovely message from Jamie Moses as well, and they're both well. So looking forward to getting back on the road again. Yeah,
they're wonderful people. Jamie comes and works with me from time to time, and I sometimes jam with the Pacaminos, if I can. If we're all in the same room, we'll play together.
Yeah, no, brilliant. He's a great guy.
I love him. He's a funniest guy, and such a great guitar player.
Well, getting him and Spike in the same room and getting them to tell all the rock and roll stories is just priceless. We should get him on the show.
Get him on the show. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah.
Because they've got so many brilliant stories, a lot of which probably can't be mentioned on the show, but they are, nevertheless, there's some great fun stories. We should do that, definitely.
Yeah. I'd be well up for that. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, look, that's great. Well, we're going to bump into each other through the summer. Thank you so much for listening on Podcast to Series 2 and watching it on YouTube. Don't forget, you can always revisit our videos on YouTube. We love it when you like and subscribe. And as you can see, we always answer your comments. Well, I always answer your comments, and I tell the guys what you've said. We will be back with a new series in the autumn, but we will be out filming and we'll be at gigs this summer. We love you and we thank you very much for watching. Jim and Tone, do you want to do a goodbye?
Yeah. Thank you so much for supporting us. This is the most fun I've had with my clothes on for a long time. And it's really Alex and Tom who put this idea together. And I thank you both so much for letting this happen and for meeting you guys every week. It's one of the highlights of my week. So bless you, thank you. And to the audience that have supported us, God bless you. We'll see you on the road. Bye-bye now. Tone?
And it's goodbye from him and goodbye from me. No, it's been good. I've said several times, it's actually been through this whole lockdown thing, almost, as Jim said, almost kind of like therapeutical. It's therapeutic. It's not therapeutical. I can't even talk properly. But no, it's been brilliant. So, and thank you for everyone for checking in, listening in, watching in, and thanks to Alex, Tom, Matt, Jim. Thanks, guys. And we'll see you all again soon.
Bye, everybody.
Stars, Cars, Guitars was produced by Tom Stroud.
Martha, shut up.